This week, we're going to go back to the tried and true, and we're going to talk about navigating IOLTA trust accounts. It's really one of our top services. I always call it the gift that keeps on giving. It is a place that things get messed up, especially if it's being processed by someone who doesn't know what they're doing. I see this a lot with law firms that try to maybe grab their paralegal or their admin and say, hey, you want to do this bookkeeping stuff? It's really easy. And then you find that along the way, things get not posted properly. Maybe the person doesn't know QuickBooks or doesn't know the legal software, and it can really become a mess. And then the client's looking at that. Maybe they're in California, they've been told they're going to have random audits, and they're sitting back going, oh, I got to fix this. And the person they've had asked to do it is a paralegal. They were hired to do paralegal work, not bookkeeping work. So they end up in our lab. And we can work in concert with the paralegal. That's not a problem. It's just it's not a great task to give to a paralegal to do. They don't have the knowledge, they don't have the working knowledge. And it's just a service that as firms grow, they need to outsource. Now, to bridge the gap from the attorney doing it themselves, which also can be a problem if they don't know how to do the work, to the paralegal or whomever, to us, usually that's when the messiness comes into play, and it's not their fault. They just don't have that working knowledge. So you'll find that you'll have a mix as a bookkeeper. You're going to have a mix of excitement over grabbing the client and really working with an attorney client to a bit of overwhelm. Oh my God, this is so messy. How do I fix it? Well, we're actually working on a couple of really big ones today they go back multiple years that we have to go back and fix. We want it to be balanced properly, and that's the only way to do it. And sometimes that requires the client to go and get the statements from the bank that have maybe go back 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. We've got a couple of clients right now that we're working with that actually have that scenario that they had to go back to the bank and get all those statements for us to be able to detangle the IOLTA account. Remember, these accounts are not just a line item on the balance sheet. They are the cornerstone of an ethical practice. And ensuring that the client funds are protected while generating interest for the legal aid program, it's imperative. Mishandling them can lead into audits, which the client never wants to see. That's always the big fear. It could lead to penalties if there was no reason other than just lack of knowledge, or it could even lead to bar complaints. And they just don't want to have that. So it's right to go forward and do this correctly from day one. I'm happy to say they've had a few attorneys on the smaller side. They're like brand new to their practice, and they reach out to us to help them set it up right at the beginning and do it the proper way, the correct way. And there's a lot of tools out there that can help you, Clio being one of them. So what exactly, if you're new to this practice area, maybe you're new to working with attorneys, what exactly is an IOLTA trust account or an IOLA? There's several different acronyms depending on the area of the country you're working, and why do they matter? So an IOLTA account is pooled money. They're put into an interest-bearing checking account, and it's where the attorneys deposit their client funds that they receive ahead of the work being done. So it's expected to be a short-term place to put the money. And the I in IOLTA stands for interest. So it is interest that this account's going to make, and it's pooled money. That interest gets pulled out and put into a fund to help people who don't have money pay for an attorney. So that's really what that fund is for. So you'll see that interest sweep in and out. The attorney doesn't get it, the clients don't get it, but it's created to be able to get that money out to be used for that reason. So the stakes are high for a new bookkeeper starting out working with an attorney. You really need to hop on that website for the state or the local jurisdiction where that bar rules sit, learn it inside and out. So if you think about it, different states are different. So especially if you're a bookkeeper that works across the country like we do, you need to know the rules in any state your attorney's practicing law. For example, New Jersey mandates specific reporting formats. Any non-compliance can trigger an audit. I've seen it happen with attorneys that maybe move their funds from one bank account to a new bank account thinking that was going to fix the problem in the old, and then it ends up that the account didn't have enough money. Some random check that was floating out there that was never recorded gets cashed and ends up being in a situation where there's NSF, insufficient funds, and that will trigger an audit, automatic audit on that case. So as you start to do this specialized work and the specialized legal accounting services, you need to make this manageable by doing regular monthly reconciliations. Flag any discrepancies, any place that you see maybe the attorney put the funds for retainers in the wrong bank account or anything like that. You want to be on top of this. It's definitely a task that you need to stay on top of. So some of the challenges that a new bookkeeper would face is that you have to make sure that you track this interest. It has to go in and out. You can't just put it in interest expense or interest income account and just hope that works out. It has to be a liability account sitting under that trust account where all the sub accounts are for each individual client. We have the individual client ledgers. You need to have one for interest. And I call it IOLTA interest clearing account. And then you take that money and you put it in and you put it out. Sometimes the bank doesn't take it out. Sometimes the bank makes an error. You really need to track that. So you need the right tools for this. So as far as this goes, it's a top service as a legal bookkeeper. Even if we have clients that we just do trust. We don't do anything else in their books. Sometimes we should, but they don't want that. They just want one individual company to do the trust account. So no, that's a place to start to do some work. So there is a product called Clio Accounting. It's really small right now. It just was invented, just created by Clio. I can see in the future that someday it will be really good, but right now it is rudimentary. Clio Accounting is all in one house product. You don't need QuickBooks. It's a general ledger product. We don't recommend it to any of our clients because once you're in it, you can't get out of it. Even if you grow out of it and you grow to a Clio managed client with QuickBooks, you can't grow out of it. You'd have to start a whole new file. But Clio Accounting is a place for the very small account, very small attorney, solo practice where you don't have to buy QuickBooks. QuickBooks is baked into it. Someday it's going to be great. Right now, we don't recommend it to anybody. But Clio Manage is a great product. And it is the highest recommended one that we have in our suite of tools that we recommend attorneys to use. Clio Manage is great. So it has a very intuitive dashboard, helps you spot things early. It has audit trail. We're just fresh off the Clio conference. The AI component of what Clio is doing to help an attorney stay ahead of all of this technology is incredible. So really look into this product if you want to be that future ready, forward thinking attorney. I really highly recommend. It's the only product I would recommend at this point because of the AI. They actually bought a company for $1 billion that has all the legal precedents, cases, matters, case decisions in one place. So their AI feeds off of actual case law, where a lot of the AI is just built off of Chat GPT, and that's the Wild West right now. You don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes AI likes to please you. We call that a hallucination. You don't really want to be basing your work, or especially your legal work, on a hallucination. So I highly recommend, and if your client is looking to you for a recommendation, it's Clio all the way. So that's number one. It also has argument building features. It's got so many features in there for a future forward law firm. That's where they need to be. Secondarily, there's LeanLaw. So LeanLaw was my first love, my favorite product. It really is a game changer for IOLTA accounts. So if your client's just looking for a simple billing solution, LeanLaw could be your solution. It just does billing. It doesn't do all the practice management stuff. It doesn't have all the places that you can actually communicate with the client and holds the matters and everything. You have to have other products on top of that if you want. So if you don't want all your eggs in one basket, LeanLaw is a good solution. I like it because it does the sub liability format for you. You don't have to go and move that in manually like we do with Clio clients. It's a two-way sync, which makes it a beautiful product because you make a change on one side, it updates the changes. It's really a great product for mid-sized firms. It's pretty stable. It'll help you protect your trust account. You won't be able to send a client back more money than you received. So that's why we like LeanLaw. There's also CosmoLex. CosmoLex is the grandfather in all of this for the all-in-one solution where you don't need QuickBooks, like I mentioned with Clio Accounting. However, it is a product that I call it the punishment product because a lot of times if an attorney gets a bar slap for non-compliance, they might tell the attorney they have to go to CosmoLex. It's very rigid. You can't to make changes, you have to undo a lot of stuff. It's a harder product. The UI isn't that great, but it has the all-in-one, which means you get a beautiful three-way reconciliation right out of the program. So that is an option. TrustBooks is another one. It's a kind of the Florida punishment software. It can be used in conjunction with Clio. You wouldn't really need both, but I've seen clients with both. It's just for the trust accounting. It's very basic. A lot of people like it because of the basicness of it. It's affordable, very affordable. It's very cheap. It can be just considered your IOLTA safety net is a step above having a spreadsheet. So as we know, spreadsheets don't work with that. So if you have that, it's a good choice. They have one called Carrot Legal. And the first time I heard this name, I was like, why would someone name a software after a carrot, thinking the vegetable? But it's the carrot, like in a diamond ring. It is an AI driven error detection, has workflows. It used to be CasePeer. So know that it does streamline AI. I've not used it with any clients. It's not that popular. I have had clients use it for with the CasePeer side of it for personal injury attorneys. So it's another product that you might want to look into. There's thousands of products. I really highly recommend if you're going to give a client a recommendation, make sure that you give them something that you find if you decide to go down the road of legal bookkeeping in the niche, it's important to really pick a couple software that way your team can learn and get sharp at a couple of software and don't start to be the end all be all. Whatever you have, I'll take. Move them along to somebody else. You don't want to be learning Zoho books when you're working with some Clio clients and you're using Practice Panther and you're using Carrot Legal it's too much to learn because they're all vastly different. And if you are just starting to niche into this, you have to learn Clio. It is the number one software for a reason. And it's got its own nuances. There is a learning curve to it, but it's well worth learning if you want to have more legal clients. That is going to be the software that a lot of them are going to be in. I think that if you look at the listing in my blog post, it's going to tell you the costs and the pricing and all of that. It's definitely worth taking a look at. In my blog post is written everything down in details. Tips for choosing and implementing the best trust and practice management services when you start to work with attorneys. If you're trying to help an attorney move off the spreadsheet, access their needs. So assess their needs, start to look at what do they need and how you could best serve them. A lot of them will push back, especially the smaller ones. I don't want to pay that money for software. You have to remind them what's your billable rate and how much time is this going to save you. It's going to pay for itself. That's my biggest thing to clients when they start to say, oh, I don't want anything to do with that. It's going to save you money. Check the integration. Make sure if they're using QuickBooks, it integrates with QuickBooks. If they're using Xero, it integrates with Xero. Make sure that those are seamless integrations. For example, my case, great product for the attorney, not so great for the integration. So you want to make sure you do that investigation. In my case, you have to log in every 2 or 3 days and push the data over. Not really great, not optimal. Prioritize training. So if you start to walk down this path, all of these software have training. Take the training, watch the YouTube videos, learn the software. Best thing you could do. Maybe get a sample company and test and maybe do a mock audit or maybe do a mock test of how the data is laid out so you can see how it looks. Start small. Maybe look at one trust account and start to build your confidence. So it's really imperative as a legal bookkeeper to safeguard client funds one ledger at a time. So mastering the IOLTA account isn't just about the numbers, but it's upholding the trust that defines our profession. And as a new legal bookkeeper, start arming yourself with the right service and turn the compliance chore that all these lawyers don't want to do, into a strategic advance for your firm. Are you ready to explore this? I hope so. Try that free trial of Clio or a LeanLaw and just see the difference. Start to step yourself into that role of being the person that will help the client from hitting the ground running. They don't have a lot of time to investigate this, and you want to help them and guide them into the right product. So I hope this was helpful, and we'll see you all next week. Bye now.